All right, there we go. It is March 17th here. I'm loving the fact that it's staying light later now that we got daylight savings kicked back in gear. Anyway, I hate being dark at 5 o'clock. So one of my little pet peeves. But anyway, looks like we got people popping in here. Jeff, Mr. Wolf, what did you like to be referred to as, sir? I got your email, and yes, we can absolutely share your Kartra experience. So
happy St. Patrick's Day.
yes, happy green. Oh shit, I'm not wearing any green.
Me neither.
But I did put up a green sales page today. So I am in the spirit, and we've got corned beef in the crock pot. So I'm with the spirit of the Irish.
Yes, us too.
All right. Where are you, Allie? You're in Idaho?
Casper, Wyoming.
Wyoming, that's right.
Yeah.
But
yes, it snowed this morning.
really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's cool or not.
Well, apparently it will be snowing through all the way through to May. So yeah.
I think the cool part about that is I'm still here.
Yes. The cool part is we'll be flying down to come on the boat with you. Oh God.
There you go. All right. There's Master Wolf is back with us. I forgot what your call sign was last week. Was it sir or
sir?
Like, hey, you. Yo.
But anyway, I did get your email, and I'm perfectly happy to have you share your Kartra experience there with the surveys. Would love to hear about that. So
fantastic.
I don't know if you want to do that now, if you're prepared, or if you want to.
Oh, of course. Oh, I am so prepared.
All right. Well, you got the floor.
Let me see if I can find Kartra first.
Oh, okay. I love the forms, and I'm going to put up in our members area. I got an explanation out of Kartra as how to tag based on how people answer the forms, which is really cool. And I had trouble with that when I went in. I tried to figure it out. Were you able to figure that one out when you created your forms?
Sort of.
Okay.
Oh, brother, if you had trouble, my ship is sunk.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was like looking through the tutorials, and I'm like, where is this information? And sometimes, like, especially when they put new stuff out, sometimes they haven't caught up yet. So I think that was the case here. But I put in a support ticket. They got right back to me, and they said, here's how you do it. So I'm going to post it up in our members area. So if anybody wants to create surveys and what is it? Surveys, questionnaires, stuff like that, you can put tags on based on how people respond, what they put in. So that's a really cool deal, especially, if you want to follow up, if you want to make, custom follow-ups. All right. Roger is looking very festive there. I don't know if that's St. Patty's Day or New Orleans attire. Maybe a bit of both. He's got the beads brewing. Awesome.
Okay, I'm set up.
All right, go ahead. I'm pretty sure you can go ahead and share screen if you want, and we'll.
Oh yeah, now I got to go back to.
We'll see what you got going on.
I have done some stuff like this before, honest. Where's the keyboard?
It's this. It's
oh, that thing. Yeah, what's this little oblong thing with the button on top of it? Let's share sound, optimize for video clips. Don't really need to do that. Let me now, if I can find the screen. from all the stuff to show. I got too much crap open. I can see that right now.
Oh yeah, I have a fair amount of screens open myself.
So I'm going to go to results, because what I did is I opened up, I got it so I can show you the results, but also opened up a tab and went to the survey so you can see what it looks like from a user standpoint.
Okay, sure.
So let's do what they got. Everybody see that?
Let's see here.
Is that showing?
Yep, it's showing.
So a quick background on this: I'm on a committee for our high school reunion. I am not going to give you what number. It's a very large number. Well, no, it's going to show up. It's our 40th reunion, and we did a survey. We needed to find out, get a sense of how many people were coming. So we used Constant Contact for the email, because I didn't have SendGrid set up yet, and I didn't want to risk messing up my business stuff here on Kartra.
Yep.
And then linked the survey to the email that we sent us. So we did this last week, and this was the results that came back. So we had four questions, and again, it's just to get a sense of how many people are going to come. So we had 144 emails addresses that we sent out. We had 11 that we couldn't reach. They bounced back. So we pulled those out. We're handling them separately. We had a total, I think, of 88 opens and 40 responses to the survey. Out of so say out of 132 emails, we got 40 responses, and then we picked up some more by doing some follow-up with them. So, but this is nice. So this is what I got from. Can anybody understand that? Because I sure as hell didn't. So from the surveys tab, I went to the surveys tab, and it shows the different surveys that we did. I did a second one as part of our follow-up. This where we picked up another 8. So this is our main. When we go to surveys, you can go into the surveys themselves or go to analytics and click results. So these are the surveys that I've been toying around with. So I'm going to hit the drop down on our main survey, and then it asks, do you want a summary of all the responses or by lead, which is really cool because it gets very granular information by lead. So you can see who responded in what way and what tags they've got assigned to them. So our first question was, do you think you're going to be there? Because this is coming up July 4th weekend in Ohio. And we've got people spread out around the country. Relatively small class, as you may see, makes my wife laugh. I think they had like 2,500 in her graduating class here in LA. So we got 28 or 35 said they'll be there. Didn't get any no responses. So this gives us a quick sense. I'm not gonna like do the blow by blow on the data, but for each question, we got a quick sense of, hey, you know what? We've got this many people are thinking about coming, or intend to come. We don't have money on the table yet for them to get there. How many people are they bringing with them? So we can see, fair number, more than half of those responding are going to bring someone with them. A couple of them want to bring multiple people. We were toying with the idea of getting a hotel room block. Since it's a holiday weekend and we know people are traveling. What do you think? And the results, this is the no thanks on the hotel. And a couple, we threw in look, this is the hotel we're looking at. Now this is Columbus, Ohio. So the target hotel is a Red Roof Inn, but it's a business class property that's in downtown Columbus near the convention center. So we get a sense of that's really not going to fly. We don't think we're going to have, are we going to have enough people to mess with a room block or not? If they have a room, how many nights are they going to be staying and what nights? So we get a sense of that, so it's mostly people are going to be there for the weekend, Friday through Sunday. Yeah. And that was, so that was our results.
I have one suggestion for you here.
Sure.
See where it says question 1, question 2, question 3.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually rename those to what the question is, because right now, because it's fresh in your mind, but if you came back to this like a year from now, you're like, oh, what was the question?
Yes. Good point.
Yeah. That's something that is very helpful, to rename the questions to what they actually are. That way, when you get into your analytics, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially like, let's say you had an outsourcer or an assistant that was sorting this data for you. They would have no idea what the questions were. Other than, intuitively, yes, I'll be there. No, I won't. That's pretty self-explanatory, but you know what I mean, right?
Yes. Yeah. This is very bootstrapped. There's no way it would make sense handing it off
Sure
to someone else. But
Hey,
that's a
Jeffrey?
good point.
Hey, Jeffrey,
Yeah.
just a quick question. It has nothing necessarily to do with the survey, but when your responses might have been different, is there a reason why you have to be downtown? My brother lives in Dublin, which is a suburb of Columbus.
I know Dublin well. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's, you've got Embassy Suites and other prime A properties. Why that particular red roof? It's not enticing.
Yes.
There's
and
Marriott, there's Embassy Suites and other locations.
yes. And that was why we threw in hey, if we'd had a different property, would it be something you'd be interested in? So part of it is the location of where we're going to hold the reunion is
Okay.
on the Near East side. So it's not as far as it would be like to commute from Dublin.
Right. Okay.
And it comes back to who's on the committee, right? Who shows up gets to set the rules, kind of a thing.
True.
So a couple people on the committee are going, it'd be great if we had a room block. And who else is, they started talking about where they're going to stay. Those that are flying in from out of town, and that it would be nice to stay in those same hotels. So that's where the idea came from. Someone happened to be familiar with that particular property. I don't know if everybody's familiar with the Red Roof Inn. It's kind of a mid-range or below average motel type of lodging. This particular property it looks like they bought someone else's mid-range business property. It's closer to a Westin than to a typical Red Roof Inn. That being the case, you're right. We're fighting the perception of, it's really not that exciting of a place to stay. And who wants to be downtown on a holiday to begin with? So that was, we had hoped to, short answer is we'd hoped to account for that by throwing in a look. If we stayed somewhere else, would you be interested? And I think it's because most people still have family in the area. They have other plans when they're coming in. They have other arrangements on where to stay. And a lot of the folks who still have a healthy percentage of people that still live in the area.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just remember, you can't please all the people all the time too.
Yeah. Well, and bear in mind, our real question was, are enough people interested in staying in the same place? And maybe this is the way we should, in hindsight, this might've been a better way to phrase it, especially based on your feedback, is would people be interested in a room block if we could, or staying in the same place that are flying in, and then worry about where to go.
Yeah.
If we've got enough interest.
Yeah, especially for a reunion, because the more you have people together, the time flies anyhow. So having them together in the same place. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're familiar with Columbus, so I grew up in Bexley, so it's on the Near East side. Used to be farmland when my parents were kids. It was farmland. Now it's like buried in nearly in the urban core of Columbus. And there's it's a lot of old money mansions in one part of the town. And Jeffrey Mansion, who is where we had it's a public park, has been since I think the 1920s, and that's where we held our graduating party when we were seniors in high school. So we're kind of going back to the scene of the crime. Plus, it has it was built in like 1902, somewhere in there, before 1910 at the latest. So it has a different feel to it. It's a little castle-ish looking, and there's it's part of a 40-acre park property.
Well, I didn't realize we were related because I have relatives in Ohio as well.
Nice. See, I always had that sense that somehow we were brothers, and that just confirms it.
I got to tell you, from a marketing perspective, you're light years ahead of my class 40 reunion coming up this year. They're doing theirs on a Facebook group, and from the looks of it, they're probably going to have about 10 people show up. I'm like, they've got everyone's email address, but I've never seen an email come out from them. They post this crap in this obscure Facebook group, expecting people to go in and like check that. And I'm like, come on, people. You got an email list.
Yeah, something that I never even thought of, but I found out as part of this experience. And the funny thing is, I haven't talked to most of these people in over 30 years.
Yeah.
I've been I wasn't that well connected to the group when we were in high school. I graduated early, so I didn't even see anybody after our junior year. And so this is just a way of being of service to the group. And it gives me a chance to practice with Kartra.
Yeah.
It was one of part of my thinking in it. And it turns out that if you're familiar with the author Daniel Pink,
I'm not.
He's got a series of I can't remember the title. I knew of it because I've seen him.
He's right there.
He was 1 year behind us. Because somebody goes, yeah, I remember. I'm like, going, Dan, that Dan? And they're like, going, yeah, that's Daniel Pink. I'm like, oh my gosh, you never know.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, before getting into the weeds on that, would you like to see how they present the by lead information?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead and show that. I know that's really cool too.
So here it is so we can go through, and then here where these chevrons are, guess we would call them. So we can go like Dorothy, what's Dorothy up to? So person by person can see how did they answer. And then it's just possible to just click on their name and go, okay, now here's all they're now a bona fide lead that we can follow up with. What information do we have assigned to them?
Yeah, you can add your own notes here too, which is really.
Oh, sorry, John.
Yeah, I said you can add your own notes in there too, which
can edit the tags. So if there's a tag missing or a change in process, can go back in and.
Yeah.
I did that accidentally. Had somebody, they had a tag from something else that they had responded to.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know about it. So I removed that tag so it didn't create a challenge. Cancel out of that.
Sir JW, Daniel Pink's in our wheelhouse.
Oh.
Is he now?
Yeah. His books are on selling and persuading.
Yes.
Nice. That's interesting. I'd never heard of him before. Huh.
Yeah. For a small group, part of the reason I wanted to do this too is for such a small class. I think we only had 165 people in our graduating class. It's a pretty high performing group. You know, I'm still in the bottom quartile that makes the top quartile possible. And so it's kind of fun to see. It's been kind of fun to see what people are up to.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, that has nothing to do with our conversation here, but just sharing. Yeah. Anything? I mean, just wanted to do a quick, hey, here was a live survey. I was really impressed with how it turned out. It was relatively easy to use. And back to the forms, John, I think what I actually did was just went to forms and created what I needed and then linked it.
Okay.
But I really didn't run into any, I don't recall having any challenges with getting everything plugged in.
Okay. I know when you're creating the form, because I created that one where we did the survey for all the ACT members, and you can actually have it add the custom fields into the database. That way, you know, you've got this information in the database for anybody that fills out the forms or fills out the surveys. It's surveys and what's the other one? Questionnaires?
Quizzes.
Quizzes, that's right. Yeah, so quizzes. The other cool thing about the quizzes is you can actually have a scoring system. Yeah. So you can do it like even as a test. I know they call it quizzes, but you can do it as a test. Like, let's say you're doing some kind of a members area and you're doing an online training, and then you want to certify them. That's a big thing. People love certifications. And what you can actually do it completely automated. You can have Kartra deliver them a certification, which is really cool.
Mhm.
You can base it upon their score. So you can give them a certification that said, "Oh, you totally failed," or "You were top of the class. Congratulations."
I like the idea of also using that to, can score them, but then that also lets me segment
Mhm.
better.
Yeah.
And then go, if they have this score, it's like, oh, what's your score? Because I've seen people do this with quizzes and ads, where it's like, how prepared are you for inflationary cycle we're in right now? Which is something I want to put out there. And then take them through a quiz based on their answers. Go, oh, here's your score, and then give them a freemium
Mhm.
based on that.
Yeah. Ryan Levesque, he does a thing called the ask method.
Yes.
And it's brilliant. It's basically it's a way to generate leads by people answering quizzes. It's like take the this quiz or that quiz, like you just said. Are you prepared for the next economic wave? Take the test and see how you're going to fare. That's really compelling stuff. You see this all the time in the in magazines and stuff, like women's magazines and teen magazines, like the test of how compatible are you with your boyfriend, and is your relationship likely to last forever? All this, just gimmicky stuff, but it grabs people's attention. So anything you can do to hook them on the front end, and then you engage them. So the quizzes are giving you a double whammy, and you're not only grabbing their attention, you're engaging them. When you can convince somebody to do something, their level of engagement, the higher the level of engagement, the more likely you are to be able to sell something to them. It's almost like a journey. You're taking somebody on a journey, and every step they take with you, they trust you more, they like you more, and they're more likely to buy from you when you offer them something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really great way to do it. I know his system, Ryan Levesque, his system's really simple. He's got a software that goes along with it, but he charges a fortune for it, for all that stuff. It's like, I think it's like $2,000 for the system. And then, by the time you're done, you're in for $5,000 to $10,000 when Kartra does it all for you.
Yep.
It's the methodology behind it, but it's pretty simple. I see Perry Belcher's doing it now too. He's doing a live event in Las Vegas right now. Started yesterday, and one of his segments is how they're killing it with quizzes. So
It's how to do, finally, how can I do discovery from a distance? In a sense of, there's certain questions I want to ask before really starting to talk with someone. So now I can use a quiz to pose those questions, and then know, oh, okay, here's how, within certain boundaries.
Yeah.
But say, okay, here's how I need to talk to this person, and then I can easily prepare, 1, 2, 3, half dozen responses for them that will much more micro target them and connect with their particular issue and how they talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I use the example of realtors all the time, because if you talk the wrong language, you alienate them immediately. The buyer wants a good deal, the seller wants max value. Those conversations don't go in the same paragraph or the same sentence. You'll alienate on both sides, and you'll have nobody following you at the end of the day. So the whole idea of asking questions, that's what a really good salesperson does.
Mm-hmm.
They go into every conversation with questions. They want to figure out, and it's right back to the beginning of ACT. It's the analysis. They're figuring out what's important to this person, why they want what they want. They're trying to figure out what language they're going to use to convert. And most of them don't know what they're doing. They do it well, but they don't know what they're doing. And, there's a big difference between those two things. You can do something intuitively and you can be good at it, but to know what you're doing and to be able to engineer it moving forward is a unique skill that is incredibly valuable. And that's That's basically the ACT program in a nutshell. It's breaking down how this stuff works, what makes it work, the mechanics behind it. So you can use it, you can leverage it.
Hey, John.
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
But here's the challenge that I struggle with. No matter, this is great, the survey is great, it's awesome. I started creating one, but here's the challenge. You have to, it all goes back to having a large database of email, because you can't take Kartra and just take your phone and everybody you've ever connected with on your phone and just dump them into to Kartra and then whittle that down to who wants to really be a part of, your following. So that's always seems to be the biggest challenge is, how do you get a large database? How do you get an email database? Because it all starts with having an email database that Kartra has accepted. Not so that's, to me, that's the greatest challenge or one of the greatest challenges, at least for me. Maybe,
Yes, and there's
Ollie and Gregory and all you have this large database. Maybe Roger already has a large database.
So here's a quiz for you guys. There's a 2-word answer to your quandary. Does anybody know what the 2 words are?
Lead magnet.
Roger's right on the money. Lead magnet.
True.
That's how you take someone from the outside world and you get them into your database. Every time it's a lead magnet.
Yeah, because I'm sure Jeffrey had a list. He dumped the list somehow.
Yeah, now there are a couple of ways to get lists. You can, and this is a perfect example of a bot list. So the list that Jeffrey's using, it's an existing list. So he didn't buy it because, it's his class reunion. They gave it to him, but it's a perfect example of a bot list. It's a commercial list. So he didn't build it, I don't think. He got it from the organization. And that's one way to get a list. It's depending on the list. Like his is a hot list because he knows these people, he knows what they're interested in, and they've by default opted in. They can't opt out of being part of a class, right? So that's a unique situation. But if you were to, circumvent that and you were to go out and buy a list or acquire a list, and you don't have that relationship with them, you got to be really careful. You have to build it. You have to build it from scratch. And again, it goes back to the lead magnet thing. You have to have a way. I don't care who your audience is, if they're in your list or not, you need a way to get them to hold their hand up and say, yes, I'm interested in that. That applies a tag. So now you don't just have a worthless bunch of pot of people in your database, you have tagged people so you know what they're interested in. And you might even know what they're not interested in by quizzes and surveys. So the more you know, the more you can communicate on a deep level. And the deeper level you can communicate, the more sales you'll make.
So I have a question. Can you create in Kartra the survey, or let's say quiz or questionnaire, and take it out, put it in the lead magnet, and if they take that and answer it, then they jump in? So if you had 3 questions you wanted to ask, and you put that, I guess that's not going to work, because either way it's a lead magnet and you have to get that out. So I was trying to think, how could you use the provocative questions in a survey to find out something about them and then get them into Kartra?
Well, you have to get them interested to do the survey first.
So it's back to the lead magnet.
Yeah, the lead magnet. And what is that? Here's another quiz. What draws someone into the lead magnet? What piece of ACT does that? I bet Roger's going to get this one too.
I had a slightly different point I was going to make.
This one's a 3-word answer.
Is it the 3?
The 3, yes.
I've got it written down.
Come on, you got to
Claim proof benefit.
No.
No.
It starts with the.
Oh.
The
Big
big
idea.
idea.
big
That was a
idea.
big idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Richard got that one. So that's awesome. You guys are getting this stuff.
Well, and for the Randy, for this particular, even though we had a hot list,
Mhm.
so what we did is we sent an email out that had a link to the survey embedded in it. We have a Facebook page. We put the survey on the Facebook page to have people come in. So, and
That's what I was
So
looking. That-
what I want to do is then create a survey for business. And then when I do a live stream, pitch it on the live stream, throw the link in and go, hey, click here, and then put it in the description
think-
so they can. So
I
you
think
can
that's what I
put
was
that, you
getting-
can embed it wherever you want to once you create the survey.
Right. I think that's what I was trying to get to.
But here, let me give you an example of how this might work. So let's say you put a quiz out there and you say, here's a quiz to find out if you're compatible with your, whatever, your lover, your wife, whatever. Not wife. Let's not do wife. Let's say, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And anyway, what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out what you can sell this person, right? So you want to find out if they're happy. If they're not happy, now you know something very intimate about them. So you can start that conversation. If this person is totally dedicated to, the one they're with, now what do you think might interest them? How to keep them forever?
How to take that next step.
Yeah, totally different conversation. And it's based on their answer.
I think that's what I was getting at. Can you use the survey like you're saying, like Jeff said? Okay, got it.
Absolutely. That's the whole point of it, is to find out, the key things, the biggest things that you need to know is what they want and why they want it. And why they want it is more important than what they want. Sometimes they don't even know what they want. They just want the outcome, the why they want it. And then you might know what it is that they need to get there. So it's super, super important for you to create the proper communication to get what you want done. You want to get your program in their hands. You want to help them, whatever it might be. And for you to do that, there's steps involved. First you've got to bring them into your fold. You got to get them on your list. That's lead magnet. How do you get them to get on your list? The lead magnet is the mechanism, but it's not what's going to make them. They're not just automatically going to want the lead magnet. It's the big idea that's going to grab their attention and get them to want it. Right? So all this stuff goes together like a puzzle. If you're missing pieces, you're going to have an incomplete puzzle. You're never going to finish. So it's all strung together like a string of pearls.
So John,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, related to the lead magnet idea, Randy, is if you have a coaching program and it is focused on teaching X, then doing the lead magnet seems to me to be defined for you. Just give them some tips or, the 5 biggest mistakes in or whatever related to X. And that becomes a self-filtering mechanism. People that you don't have to know what any individual is interested in, because if they're interested in your lead magnet, they are a candidate to be interested in your coaching program. But if they're not interested in your lead magnet, then that's perfect, because they're not the candidate for your coaching program, because you're going to teach the topic that is on the lead magnet. Making the lead magnet compelling is a thing, and then figuring out where your tribe lives so that you can put your lead magnet in front of their eyeballs easier is another challenge also. But like, let's say I have a vision board. It's right here. And on there is an example of an imperfect speaker. I don't know if you can see this because I can't see my own screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Elon Musk as the imperfect, Tony Robbins as the perfect. Elon Musk is a terrible speaker with a bad stutter, but he has brilliant ideas. And then insert you here, right? So that's the one with the indescript person. Like you see them, sometimes they're on the stage and, there'll be like a microphone and an audience and you can't tell who's on the stage. And if you're teaching about public speaking, it's almost like insert you here, like on this stage, or this could be you kind of thing. That kind of drive, because in my personal opinion, you have to convince somebody that it's plausible that they really could be there if only they had these magic tips from your free lead magnet. And then the tips are valuable, but they reveal the truth that, oh, there's a lot more to this than you might have initially assumed. And if you're not dissuaded, then, that primes them, I think, for the next step.
And that's a great visual. That's a great visual of what you showed to go along with the commentary. The thing that caught my attention is if in this particular case, if you've never heard the bad speaker, or you don't know he's a bad speaker, you wouldn't relate to that necessarily. So it would have to be somebody that most people have heard of, that sound horrible or whatever, and stutter or speak poorly in the public, in the public domain. But I like what you're saying, absolutely. But I also have another question for John. In your signature, when you have your
let me throw this at you while we're here.
Okay.
A great quiz would be find out if you have what it takes to be here, be that guy on the stage. That'd be a great quiz to do.
That's true. And I'm glad we're recording this. Are you going to send it to us?
Yeah. You guys, these always go up. You guys
Awesome.
always have access to these.
So when it relates to the signature talk or the signature presentation, typically signature talk, keynote, let's say it's 45 minutes. So there's a 12-step process that you have to go through, moving them through the process. When you built your keynote presentation in terms of your PowerPoint, did you do it or did you have someone external do it in your case? Because I saw, we did one of yours.
Yeah, I've done all mine myself.
Okay.
So I've always based them on others. I've always based them on people that have done things successfully. Like I've gone, you'll see like in past recordings, I've done this, and I'm happy to do it again if you guys are interested in it. But Frank Kern published a thing called the Magic Model. And it was basically, he did this years ago, and probably over a decade ago, actually. And he sold it. It was called the Magic Model, and it was brilliant the way he sold it. He took you through 9/10 of the thing, and then he sold you the end piece for $2,000. And you could have figured out what it was on your own if you just thought about it, but you're happy to pay the $2,000 because he took you 90% of the way there, which is proof in the pudding that the more you give, the more value they're willing, the more value you give them, the more they're willing to spend to get the rest, to finish it off.
Yeah, that would be great.
Give them useful but incomplete information, the more useful it is, the more incomplete it becomes.
Okay.
It's
I'm being selfish by asking because I'm getting ready to start speaking more. Last couple of years, obviously with COVID, it was mostly coaching online and stuff. But those signature talks that I have, they need to be upgraded, but they also need to include all the stuff that you've taught, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm just looking to go, okay, PowerPoint presentation goes along with this, along with your guide, along with your book, along with your handout, along with all these other things, leading to the master classes and so forth and all that. So I'm just trying to put it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's pieces you want to follow a proven pattern. And that's what I did with Frank's, he had a pattern for how he does his presentations, and he called it the Magic Model. And it works. It absolutely works. I used it at Glacier Kennedy when I spoke there, and I killed it. I didn't kill it. I made a lot of money. I only got a 3.5% conversion because the room was split. There was the 2,000 people in the room, and they were all different types of people, different types of businesses. I did the exact same presentation 2 weeks later to the American Dental Association. And instead of a 3.5% conversion ratio, I got a 43% conversion ratio because I knew who was in the room. All the same avatar. I was speaking 100 to 1 on the same exact avatar. So the conversion ratio was phenomenal. I didn't make as much money on the American Dental Association because their room was smaller. You know, there was only a couple hundred people versus 2,000. But you get the point, right?
Got it.
But the framework of the presentation was identical. My delivery of the material was identical. There was only a couple of things that were swapped out to be specific. You know, a couple of the images I changed out to be specific to dentists. I changed the wording from customer to patient. You know, everything I could do to speak their language, I just tuned it into them. That's all. But, you know, 99% of it was identical.
John, I have a quick question for you.
Okay.
Related to what you're saying.
Sure.
The Kern Magic model, I personally feel was spot on for that era, pre-YouTube, pre-social media, or saturation of them, because free was unusual. So it was seen as a gift of something valuable. Whereas now on YouTube, not only is it free to get pretty in-depth lessons, but I'm annoyed that I have to wait 6 seconds before I can skip ads, right? So
yeah,
one of the things coaches battle is this idea that everything is free. So I'm wondering, if you start with giving a lot of free stuff, you're pigeonholing your content into equal to all the masses of free stuff, just conveniently in front of my face at the moment, as opposed to starting with a price that signifies that this is, you know, very valuable, very unique, very non-generic stuff.
Gotcha. So the difference of what you're talking about like going to YouTube and finding, you know, free tutorial videos that are long that you got to skip the ads for and all that. The difference there is you don't have any relationship with those people. The chances of you bugging out of their thing before it's over is high. It's super high. On the other hand, if you had a 30-second video on YouTube that just grabbed their attention, fed them over to a lead magnet, and now you got them into a cycle and they're not on YouTube anymore, you're walking them down the path with no ads. They know what they're there for. Because see, if you go to YouTube, let's say you pull up a tutorial video and you're thinking in the back of your mind, this isn't probably on the front part of your mind, but I guarantee you it's in the back part of your mind. You're thinking, is there something better? Did I get the right one? There's 5,000 of these. Am I wasting my time? All this stuff is rattling around in your head. That stuff isn't there when you go through Frank's model.
Plus, they don't have a big idea.
Exactly. The big idea is what and Frank calls this an indoctrination period. When you indoctrinate someone to you, you are removing your competitors. So there's a big difference. The guys that are just putting free stuff out on YouTube, they're not converting like Frank does. The guys that are putting out short little things to grab your attention, get you into a survey, get you into their pipeline, those are the guys that are converting. So you can do it both ways. Both ways work, but one way works way better. So I think even though the magic model is old and, you know, maybe a little dated, the formula is the backbone of it still works. You know, there's a lot of other stuff. You're absolutely right. There's a ton of distraction out there in the market, but they're not your customers. You know, you can't have all of them. You have to take the ones you can get. And those are going to be the ones that you can lead. Hence the lead magnet. If you can't lead them, you're not going to get them. So you can kill yourself trying. And that's what we don't want to do. You know my idea of how hard I want to work, right? We want to, I don't mind working really hard on building a mousetrap that I know is going to be automated, but just to do stuff like the whole idea of social media just makes me want to throw up. Yeah. The idea of doing something every day just to do it, that just makes me ill.
8 platforms every day.
Oh my God. It's just like, stop. I wouldn't even get out of bed if I thought that was what my day was going to look like.
The people on YouTube also, John, are looking for views. They want to make that $3 view for getting 10,000 views on their, I mean, talk about, and because YouTube is working on becoming a TV channel, a TV network.
Yeah.
And this is your slow, cancerous growth. I mean, I still get this thing, take your free trial. They want 50 or 60 bucks a month to look at YouTube without the ads. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, and that's a totally different business model. Those guys that are out there creating content to get the ad revenue, that is a completely different business model. You know, that's, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not traditional marketing. It doesn't really fit into like what we're talking about. You could probably look at their model and you could take what we do and you could apply it. But it's a whole different thing. I mean, those guys are, and they're brilliant. They are creative. That is like, they have a lot of art on their side. They've got a lot of that part of the brain, and they know how to do stuff that is humorous. It makes you laugh. It draws you in. It's like, that's part of the entertainment business. You know, there's a whole world of people that create content just to entertain. I mean, the movie industry is a perfect example, and they're good at it. But they have marketers on the front end to get you interested in the movie, right? Look at, a lot of times you'll see a trailer that you didn't even need to go to the movie. You saw everything good about it in 30 seconds. And then you go spend 2 hours and you go out and you go, what the hell? You're going to get to the end of your life and you're going to want those 2 hours back. So, and that's marketing. You know, the marketing is what grabs you and pulls you in. So it's, you know, it's all good stuff, you know, and people are making money with all of it. It's just, you know, do you want to do that? That's definitely not my personality. So you got to figure out, you know, where you fit in the scheme of things, and then build your mousetrap. Yeah, your wealth is going to depend on your ability to build that mousetrap. And also, here's a bigger driver for you.
Can we use that again? Can we quote you?
Absolutely. Your ability to never have to go and seek a day job is going to depend on your ability to build that mousetrap. That would be a better driver for me. I would kill myself to figure out how to build a mousetrap if that's what it was all about. And it is to me. It absolutely is. So, you know, and I did this my whole life. I mean, when I look back, I was doing this as a kid. I was building mousetraps to, you know, for the ability to make money. So I didn't have to go to work. I did it. It's just, it wasn't until probably the last 10 years, I really got good at it. I got good at automating it. You know, back then I was selling my time. You know, I was time for dollars, and I did it well. I valued my time. Like as a commercial photographer, I got $3,500 a day. That was my day rate. That was plus expenses. You know, I valued my time highly. So when I did work, when I traded time for dollars, it was a lot of dollars I was trading for. So, you know, but it wasn't until probably the last, it's probably more than 10 years at this point, but the last 10, I have really refined the system of how to automate that, how to make sure that I work once and get paid forever. And that was an absolute game changer. That actually started, I'm thinking back, that actually started in 95 when I went into the hosting business. You know, when I started selling web hosting and realized that, hey, this customer is going to pay me forever. I set the thing up. Yeah, I have to maintain it. I've got certain things, certain responsibilities and all that, but I've got a customer forever. I'm never going to have to resell this customer on this process. They're with me until they're not. And the majority of my customers, the biggest way I lose a customer is they pass away. You know, that's pretty odd to say, but when you look at my books, you'll see people that are not paying me anymore are usually dead. Not because I killed them. Yeah, it's not that kind of deal.
And a few of them are still paying.
Yeah. So, but that was an absolute game changer. When I figured out of, you know, the difference between time for dollars and building a mousetrap that would really pay me forever, that's where I focused my effort. My everything changed. Everything shifted at that point. So you'll see there's nothing that I do that's a one-off deal. There's absolutely nothing in my wheelhouse that's a one-off deal. I might do a one-off sale to get a lifetime customer, but it's always about lifetime value. You know, whether it's something I do or not. Like anybody that comes into my funnel, I'm always looking for other stuff that they could use that I could refer. And sure, I make an affiliate commission, but I do a great service by bringing that to them. You know, I look at it that way. It's not sales. I'm not doing sales. I'm doing service. I am doing the best I can for everyone in my flock. You know, anybody that comes in and becomes part of my world, I'm at work for them. I'm a mercenary for them to make sure that they get the best of whatever I have available. And it's done really well, you know, so it's good stuff. Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
Got to unmute myself. Hey, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Just quickly, I looked everywhere I could think of in Kartra to find out where to change or update somebody's credit card information.
Okay.
Do you have that on the top of your head?
Sure, absolutely. Let me go in there. I'll show you where it's at.
Awesome.
Really easy when you know how.
Right.
That's so true. It is super simple when
I
you
had to ask John twice to get it down.
All right. So you go into the communications tab and then you look up a lead, and I will look up a guy named Jim Kaspari, and you edit his record. You go to transactions. You click on the order ID, and then for some reason you got to do it twice. This is the magic screen here. So in this screen, you can pretty much do anything. You can change their monthly rate. you can change their next bill date. You can update their credit card right there.
Oh, right there.
And what you have to do is you have to be able to fill in all this information, because to update the
Gotcha.
credit card, you got to fill all it. So what I do when that's the case, I'll open up a second window. And so here I go over to the profile,
Make sure everything matches.
and there I've got the info. So I can just take that info, copy and paste it over here.
Now, what if somebody moves? That's why I ran into trouble with authorize.net.
If they move, you can just update their record.
Okay, so you
Just
put
update
in,
their address. Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. So you have their client record, and then this is their billing record. So you can update them both.
Okay,
So that's pretty much where you find it. There's only one road here. I don't know another way to get here.
yeah, there's a link that we can send to people to update their own information, but
Correct.
because
But for you to do it from the back end, this is the only road I've found.
okay, so we go to communications, we
Yep.
search,
You find their customer record, and then you click on transactions, and then that will take you over. And you have to click on the transaction, and you have to do it twice.
okay, so products, transactions, and then,
Yeah, you go up here to transactions, and then
order ID.
and it has to be an active one. It can't be one that's canceled. You have to
So
go
if it's canceled, do you go back to the
Just-
most
just-
recent active one?
correct. Just go back to
Okay.
the last one. That's the only way that you can adjust credit card information, is if you have an active record.
Gotcha.
And then you have to click it a second time to actually open Pandora's box.
And then there's that little button.
And then here you could cancel, like if somebody emails you and say, hey, could you just cancel my thing? You can come right here and do it right here. If they want a refund, you can even do a partial refund.
Okay,
So like, let's say you want to credit them for half the month, you could do that.
okay,
And then if they do, let's say, here's something that you'll occasionally come upon. Somebody won't call you to try and get a refund. They'll just call their credit card company, which is a really shitty thing for them to do.
yeah,
Unless you just denied them, and then they have to go around you. But let's say that happens and you get the credit card chargeback thing in the mail, and the money has been taken from your account, but that does not connect here. So let's say you paid an affiliate on this.
yeah,
You got money out. So what you do is you check here that mark this as a chargeback.
okay,
So when you mark it as a chargeback, now it knows, okay, that money's not really here, and it will go back and it'll adjust all the records in Kartra.
okay,
It'll even update your affiliate payments. Like, it will remove that from that affiliate. So on their next payment, that's deducted.
okay, I see.
So that's a really important thing if you're paying affiliates, to keep your records on par.
And if you mark as chargeback, does it cancel future recurring payments?
It does not.
So you have to do both.
Yes. Yeah,
You
you
do
don't.
both at the same time?
You cannot.
Okay.
You have to do one, and then you hit process, and then it'll process, and then you can do the other one and hit process again.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. So that's really important, though, from an affiliate perspective, because it's one thing to get the money taken back, but it's another thing to lose it also to the affiliate. Now it's cost you. You're no longer at a zero sum. You don't want to come out of this deal at a negative.
Nope, that's great.
So, all right, cool stuff. Yeah, and I've learned a couple of things here too. I wanted to share with you guys. I had fancy order pages. And what I've learned is all the stuff at the top that's redundant on all the order pages doesn't need to be there. It hurts your conversion. So I've been updating my order pages just to say warning, offer ends soon. And then boom, there it is. And this is running right now. So I changed this to green for St. Patty's Day. I don't even say anything.
Run through what hurts the conversions.
Okay, so this one here is what I changed to. This is what I changed from. So I got all this fancy stuff up front that I was using. This was my big idea. This is what got somebody in. I was assuming that I should just do it for repetition, but I was wrong. So when they see it over and over, they start thinking, oh, I've already been here. So they start banner blinding it, and they're blinding my whole page. My whole goal here is to sell them something, not to rehash the big idea that I've already done. So that was something that I've learned on this last promo from a different guy. You know, I've been doing these promos now for 3 years, and I've been doing very well at them, and I'm still learning new stuff from new people. So you can always teach the old dog new tricks. And so yeah, you
Can you show the new version again?
Yeah, I just removed the header, and the page that I took this off of was the promo here that I did with the paid graphic system. This was a swap. I told the guy, this looks really good. I don't promote stuff that I don't think is really good. I said, this looks really good. He had a list. He says, I kill it with SEO products. So he goes, if you'll put mine out, I'll put yours out. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that because I believed in his system. And he actually gave me the system. I'm going to start using it because I've always wanted to do this. I've always had a desire to do the pay-per-click stuff. It's just when you hire people to do this, it's really expensive and they don't do it. They don't do it right. You know, like he's got the list of negative keywords. That's the most critical thing. You can spend a ton of money burning through ads trying to build that list when he's just giving it to you. You know, the price of his program, it was $3.99. I'd pay $3.99 just for the negative keyword list because it would save me that right out of the gate.
Hey, John, I watched the replay,
Mm-hmm.
but the problem I was having, it was hard to understand because you're going to get 40 things that you don't need, it sounded like.
Correct.
But I didn't hear coaching out there.
Correct. It's like he's building these. He's kind of doing a membership model, and he's building these as you go. And then he says, like, you know, if you've got one that you want to recommend, he'll put it into his list and he'll actually build them for you.
Okay, so that may come later then, because
Yeah. I don't know, you know, how fast he's putting them in, but there's a lot of them that can be easily modified, you know, just to get his templates and stuff. Like if you take his ad set, you could drop it into Photoshop or send it to Fiverr and have somebody change out, you know, to your big idea, but using the look of what he knows already works. So it's a tremendous framework of what he's built. And he's been doing this, like he's been doing this stuff as long as I've been doing, well, not as long, but close to as long as I've been doing SEO.
so we'll be able to circle back to him when we're ready.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. He's also, him and his partner are working on one of these that I'm just chomping at the bit to get a hold of, is YouTube ads. When he releases that, I'm definitely all in board for that because I want to do the YouTube ads like nobody's business. I just don't want to go through the learning curve. And I know how expensive it is and how long it can take and how frustrating it can be. And I'm just not up for that. And I've contacted different providers, and they're expensive. You know, they are super expensive. I've got the provider now on Fiverr that can do the little videos for you. Those, you know, he's doing those little videos for like $100, $150, depending on how close it is to my original script. But yeah, you know, so video is easy to come by. It's just, it's setting up those ads. I don't know if you, in the replay, did you see how he sets the ads up? He can import the whole thing. It's just like importing a Kartra funnel. You can import the whole thing right into your AdWords account. I saw that. I'm like, shit, I'd pay $400 just for that. So
thank you. Gotta go. You guys, thank you so much.
yeah, absolutely. So, but anyway, you never stop learning, testing, even though, my campaigns were doing well, that just this one test of tweaking it, doing it like he was doing it, it increased the conversion. So it's like, don't stop testing stuff. If you test something and it doesn't work, go right back to your baseline. But, you should always be testing against your baseline for everything. Because that's the whole thing. Sharpen your sword. That's what makes us money. That's what makes us work less, make the same amount of money. All right. What else we got on the docket for this week here? Anybody else got stuff you want to address, or you just want to go out for the green beer? Am I holding you guys up from the green beer? I do not want to stand in your way of green beer.
Dear God, no.
We must have green beer.
Yikes.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go get the green beer. Great session. Good
Green
stuff.
tea.
Green
Green
tea.
tea. Yes.
I have a question in the box to Roger. Roger, how do I reach you?
You reach out and grab him.
I'm trying. He's right there.
He's muted.
You're muted.
I'm
Just
here
drop it.
now.
Okay.
Type it in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat.
Yep. I'm going to just give it to everybody.
Excellent. And by the appearance of your hat, are you feeling lucky?
I am today.
That's the look of the Irish.
And anybody you can
Thanks, Roger.
text or call most anytime.
Yeah, give us a phone number too. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
903. All right. Cool. Go have your
Awesome.
beer.
All right, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
We will be back on, I believe, normal time next week. Oh, one more thing. This is the one I wanted to share with you guys. You can't force people into places they don't want to go. And I have a perfect example. You guys know I spoke last week at the convention center. It was the first time I've been on stage since the pandemic. And Michelle from Craig's group, she puts that whole thing on. So she was responsible for putting me on the stage. Normally, I walk in that place with paper order forms. And that's what I've done the last few times I've been there. Paper order forms were working well for me. These are not people that are in the digital world, right? So paper order forms. This year, she said, don't bring your order forms. I'm using QR codes. And at first I was like, oh, okay, easy for me. I don't have to do anything. I just show up, do my thing, and she takes care of it. But it was a disaster.
Elaborate.
Yeah.
It was an absolute disaster. I had the biggest, most packed rooms I've ever had at their events. I had the most engagement I've ever had at their events. I should have had the highest conversion I've ever had at their events. But you know how much I sold? 0. I
What?
walked out of there with 0 conversions
Okay, explain.
because they had to do the QR code to order. Nobody knew how to do it. Nobody wanted to do it.
Right. Trendy coaches who go to trendy restaurants that have foregone menus and have the QR codes and have figured it out. But if you watch other patrons go into those restaurants, as I have, and I'm watching them and the waitress just points to the QR code, half of the patrons in the restaurant They have no idea how to get the QR code. They can take a photo of it. They don't understand. Most phones don't automatically convert it to a web URL, and they're lost.
Yeah.
And
I know how to do it, and it pisses me off every time that happens. I'm like, give me a freaking menu. I came here. I want the experience. I want to look at a menu. Right? Those people wanted to order. They didn't know how. And it was a bad user experience. Now, they're emailing me. I'm converting on the back end because they all know how to find me. So they're emailing me, wanting to work with me. But I walked out the door with 0 orders because of the QR code thing. So just let that be a lesson to you. Know your audience. No, that's part of the language. I was not speaking the right language when it came time to the call to action. My call to action, my close sucked because I wasn't speaking their language. So again, lesson learned.
Did you know that going in though, John?
I did.
Yeah, doesn't that piss you off?
Yeah, I did, but I have the desire for easy more than I do for success, and it appealed to me. I'm like, great, I don't have to do shit. I don't have to go get the orders done. I don't have to, make the forms. I just show up, life's great. Well, life wasn't so great when so
No, anybody, if you're under 30, you know how to use the QR forms. If you're over 30, you're screwed.
yeah,
Hang
and there
on
was
a minute.
there
Wait a
wasn't
minute.
a person in the room under 30.
now, to be fair, the QR code idea, like on the backside of your business card or something, is kind of cool if there's a way that it
Correct.
does something for you. It takes you to more information, or it populates your contact form. But then somebody doesn't need it to get to something. It's an added value if they use it.
Yeah,
It's the worst close ever.
it's the worst close ever. It's good.
It really is.
It's good for information. Like Roger said, having it available as a contact thing, that's just making you more accessible.
Yeah.
But when you remove all the others and you say, I just want you to do this, and they don't want to do it, that's terrible. So
And now you got to deal with dribble drabble follow-up.
yeah, exactly. I'm getting, 1 or 2 emails a day of people that, want to work with me, and it's not on.
Imagine an organization of almost 500,000 people worldwide who does exactly what Michelle did, forgoes the paper, forces the QR code as the sole mechanism. Nobody can use it. And then anybody who complains is just called a laggard, a resistant to change. That was my experience a couple of years ago. Some of you will know the organization.
Yeah. Well, I experienced it just last week. So it's
Right. I mean, QR codes have been out for 10 years and people still haven't embraced it. It's like what John says all the time. You're trying to bang your head against a wall.
Yeah.
It's like,
So-
look, this was on my mail. This is on my mail. Whoops. Wait, where's my camera? Oh God.
I saw it.
Blur off.
But-
What would you have preferred to close with, John?
The paper order forms.
Orders.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had him on the boat. I had him in my bag and I left him.
But the question is, why would you put this QR code on an envelope? Like, yeah, they're on the weirdest places, but nobody's using them. And it is honestly the worst way to close. And John, your instinct was to bring your paper forms with you. So now you know.
You do those in triplicate, John? You printed them in triplicate?
Yes. Actually, I just do them in double. I don't do the triple. I do the double. One for them, one for me.
Okay.
So they call them NCR. If you go to the print place, they call them NCR forms.
And is in Nancy CR?
Yep.
You do the triple if you have a JV partner and they need a copy too of your sale.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
But if it's just like John and the customer, like if that lady she wasn't getting a piece of the action, she wouldn't need a record of his sales.
Yeah.
Got it.
So anyway, I am here to tell you that frustration is alive and well and living in.
As they say, John, live and burn.
Pardon the intrusion, but I have a follow-up question to that, John.
Okay.
Okay. The thing is, so you got 0 sales and now you're getting nickel and dime. Well, you're not gonna say you're getting trickle sales on the after. Do you still have to share your commission with her? I mean, technically, ethically, yes, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to follow it up on that.
I absolutely do. Yes.
But now it also is a lesson to her that, hey, had we done it the other way,
Oh yeah, yeah. And I know she's feeling it right now because, in years past, I walk out of there with a pile of orders to come home and process, and she sees all the affiliate emails coming through. And so
Plus think about how every other speaker bombed and it's now a trust system. If they get your email or phone number, it's pure trust that you're gonna let her know that you made a sale.
yeah,
super insight.
I would. She knows that too. So
Well, I know you would, but let's face it, John Limbacher, not a lot of other people would, given the aggravation and temptation.
that's true. That is so true. But that's why, when somebody works with me, they usually work with me forever.
That is true.
I just don't do that kind of stuff. It's not worth it. A few extra bucks in my pocket to do that, it's not worth it. People are very valuable to me. So maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Word to the Wheezy is Spise, John. Thank you.
All right. Well, anyway, I did want to share that, and it slipped my mind to the last minute. So I'm glad it came back. It was fresh.
Painful. Thanks, John.
Fresh. Yeah, that's a fresh wound.
See you soon.
All right, guys, we'll be back on next week, regular time. So we'll see you then.
Bye.
Happy St. Patty's Day.
Yep. Bye-bye. Thank you.